give the floor to the representative of United Nations Watch.
UN Watch welcomes the opportunity to contribute to this debate on racial discrimination, xenophobia, and intolerance. Our engagement in the anti-racism movement began with our founder, Ambassador Morris Abram, who passed away in Geneva exactly 10 years ago. As a former U.S. representative to the UN Commission on Human Rights in the 1960s and again in the 1990s, his struggle against racism can serve as an inspiration for all the distinguished representatives assembled here today, as for victims everywhere who seek justice and equality. As a young lawyer in the 1940s, Morris Abrams served on the International Nuremberg Tribunal for Nazi war crimes. Returning to his native state of Georgia, he became a pioneer in the U.S. civil rights struggle, marching arm in arm with Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. In 1963, Morris Abrams won the U.S. Supreme Court court case of Gray versus Sanders, establishing the principle of one man, one vote, one of the great legal victories for African American equality. He went on to fight against bias and discrimination as chairman of the United Negro College Fund by establishing UN Watch as a human rights organization dedicated to upholding equality and other principles of the UN Charter. The Council, using special sessions, resolutions, or investigative inquiries, must continue this noble struggle by urgently addressing the world's most compelling challenges. These include the subjugation of women, for example, in Saudi Arabia, as detailed in this session under NGO/111. Discrimination against ethnic, racial, and religious minorities, for example, in Iran, which was recently condemned for such acts by the General Assembly. Acts of discrimination against migrant workers on the basis of their national or ethnic origin, as demonstrated in NGO/122, which is before this Council today. There is a mountain of evidence from the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, Human Rights Watch, and the New York Times report of last year concerning racial discrimination against 2 million black African migrants in Libya. Will the African group speak out against their plight? Democracies are not immune from accountability either. Discrimination against the structures of one particular religion, as enacted recently in the Swiss Constitution, is contrary to the principle of equality. At the same time, many of the countries protesting this action should end their own far worse practices of religious discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you.